Welcome to the Books, Life, and Shenanigans podcast with your host, Amanda Bird. Hey friends, sorry about the huge fuck up from this week's episode. I don't know how I edited episode 5 into episode 7, and then I wound up deleting both draft files. So here we are in audio version. So yeah. Books-wise, I'm going to read you chapters 5 through 7 of Morgan Davis Serials number 1, The Girl at the Bottom of the Ocean. Life segment-wise, we're going to go with ways I cope when I am missing my narcissist. And, well, to be completely honest, it's probably, I don't know, for me, it's beneficial. I'll get more into it later about why it may not be beneficial for you, but it is for me. And then the shenanigans are going to consist of, oh, fuck, that really upsets me. Going to have to post a picture during the shenanigans portion of tonight's episode that shows exactly what I wanted to talk about because, well, let's face it, because I'm not on video right now and I am in absolutely no condition to be on video right now. Like, y'all, I worked in my pajamas all day and I'm still wearing my pajamas. I went to Publix in my pajamas. Like, it is that whole, like, don't give a fuck feeling. And that's where I'm at right now. So, yeah, I will have to post a picture of said shenanigans while I'm talking about the shenanigans so that and I'm working with one monitor, by the way, so I didn't hook up the other one just because I'm not recording video and I thought it might be easier. And it turns out it's actually not. I can't see my runtime. I can't see anything. I'm using Adobe Rush to record this right now. And of course, I'm going to run it through Audacity so that I can add my macros and all that other fun stuff for proper editing. So yeah, like this whole thing's a big fucking mess. I have a countdown timer and every time I click a different window, my countdown timer is like, hey bitch, I'm going to hide now. So forgive me if we go over or under because I thought I did not need a second monitor without doing video. So here we are. I'm not going to tell you what the shenanigans are, by the way, until we get to that point. Promise. As excited as I am about those shenanigans, I do want to say if I start to crack up a little bit or get kind of weird at all in today's episode, this is me being real. This is me being, not that I haven't not been real in any previous episode, and I don't intend to not be real in any other episodes, henceforth. Did I just say henceforth? I did, didn't I? Okay, from here on out, because let's face it, I don't use the word henceforth. Sitting here, can't decide if I'm hot or I'm cold because sleeves, Florida, you tell me. And yes, I have my air conditioning on. So it's been a week, work-wise, personal-wise. I've got some friends that are going through things, and being the empath that I am, I feel their pain to an extent. You can't quite feel the full extent of their pain, but I feel their pain. And it doesn't make me very happy, obviously, because pain is pain, and scratch that. Because I love my friends and well, I'm an empath. So, I choose not to learn how to turn it off, because what kind of human would that make me, right? So There is a good chance I might get a little sad when we get to the life aspect. I'm so upset that I don't still have those draft versions. And I'm going to blame the fact that I did not have enough coffee last weekend. But when I recorded everything, I think it was like Friday night, all was well and good. I just couldn't edit anything until Saturday afternoon because there was a corrupted file that I needed for Adobe, and I reached out to Geek Squad because I have a yearly membership with them, so their tech support is included in that. I'm sorry, it's a Best Buy total something or other membership, and tech support is included in that. And they couldn't help me, but fun fact, Dragon Ball entered the chat. His name was Saiyan. I'll see if I can't include a quick photo of that because, yes, I absolutely took a picture of it with my phone so that I had proof that Dragon Ball entered the chat. And no, Dragon Ball did not fix my tech issue. So then I spent, and it was Dragon Ball, by the way, after I had spoken to like 2 or 3 other people. So then I reached out to Adobe support, and within 45 minutes, it was fixed. I was back in Rush. I was editing things, and I was so excited. I more than likely just wasn't fucking paying attention because I was just happy to be able to use the program again, and I didn't have to use something else. And no, this is not an ad, but I will say it is included in the current Adobe subscription that I have. And I'm at a pretty low level Adobe subscription. It's the one with like Photoshop, because the top tier is really fucking expensive, though I do miss it. I don't particularly like the PDF editing program I currently have. But anyway, I was just super, super excited and elated and happy and just everything. Like, I don't have a pause function like I do with my other recording programs. I have a stop function. So what is that going to do if I push the button? So y'all might hear me vape. You might hear me take a drink or two instead of me just kind of pausing like I normally do. So apologies for all of that fun stuff. Hopefully the macro that I add to this will kind of filter a lot of that out. If you hear it, whatever. I vape. I take drinks. My throat gets dry. So yeah, there is that. So, oh shit, today's one of the last days I can drink for some time because I'm having surgery. Nothing crazy, nothing major. It's minor. I'd say by the time you hear this, I'll be fine, but I'm posting this tonight because of the screw up with the editing last weekend. And I owe you this week's episode. So I'm going to be uploading this tonight. And then I'll be recording next week's episode over the weekend just because I know I'm not going to have time to do it with prep for surgery and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, I'm a little sad that tonight is one of the last nights that I can, kick back with a glass of wine or a cocktail for, it's probably going to be maybe a week, which is fine. Like, I'm cool with that. And I am off, but the days that I go back to work after my surgery, I'm more than likely going to be really stressed out and I'm going to need another way to unwind. So thank you, CBD gummies. And what book is that? What book am I reading? Fool Me Twice by Jeff Lindsay. I've been reading this book for a damn year. This is another one of those muddy books. Oh, cool. I just inadvertently am giving us like a 2-parter book segment. So, yeah, it's definitely a muddy book. Like, I understand what he's doing. I see what he's doing. I appreciate what he's doing, but holy fucking verbosity. Like, we're talking, this book is almost 400 pages or right around 400 pages. And I'm just, Jeff, sir, I love you. I love your characters. But please don't write anything like you're doing with Riley ever again, because it's very difficult. It's a challenge to get through. Some chapters are easier than others. And the thing that really, I don't know that it irritates me particularly, like the inconsistent chapter lengths. I'm cool with that. And here's why I'm cool with that. because some chapters take longer to flesh out than others. And I see this from a reader and an author perspective. Some chapters take longer to flesh out than others, which awesome. Thank you for taking the time to fucking flesh that out, right? Like, it's appreciated. But then there's the chapters that are kind of excessively long. Like, okay, cool. We could have done without this, and this 700, these 7 paragraphs, which would have cut it down by, I don't know, a page and a half, 2 pages, which isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of a book total page count of 380 some odd pages. But also, like, were these paragraphs necessary? No, some of them absolutely are not. I am guilty of the same thing. My editor will say, cut it. And I will laugh and say, cut what? And keep going. It happens. It happens. I do trust my editor. So anymore, when he says to cut things, I do cut things. First couple books, maybe not so much. My editor has made me a better writer, a better author, a better storyteller. So there's that. So without further ado, now that I'm done kind of babbling about a bunch of weird shit that you're probably not interested in, The Girl at the Bottom of the Ocean. Chapter 5. I set my keys down on the entry table and walked into the kitchen. Who else would it be? Wow, Morg, really? It's 1 a.m. and you're going to be sarcastic? That's why you married me, I shot back with a grin. I walked over, kissed Dom on the cheek, and went to get ready for bed. It was never a good thing when your husband had no clue what your hobby was, and you almost got yourself caught by him. I decided to temper my stalking. Besides, I had mostly what I needed now. That girl wouldn't know what's coming. Of all the people I've killed, she was the most boring one yet. I'm hoping she's at least fun to kill. Of course, my definition of fun is much different than expected. I equate fun with facilitating someone's death with some measure of suffering just before. I don't look for anyone to admit their wrongdoing, though I do try for it. Rather, I look for my own satisfaction in knowing the harmful person is done away with, never to return. I also prefer to stab people. Sure, I've pushed a few people in front of moving traffic. Okay, from an overpass. Semantics. Stabbing is preferred, full stop. Sometimes I carve fun things into them, be it one of the 7 deadly sins or something far more obscure. It doesn't matter. What matters is my literal signature is the simple act of carving something into their flesh. And yes, I do this while they're still alive. The cops and FBI seemed to think that one person has a typical way of killing. That person has a signature and modus operandi. For reference, a killer's signature is defined as something a killer needs to do to satisfy themselves. For me, it's telling the shitbag what they've done. Modus operandi, however, is when we do what's needed to complete the killing, like stab them 12 times in the stomach, piercing various organs. From a killer, I can tell you that the guy who helped create the behavioral sciences unit at the FBI was right. We don't always have a signature, but there's always an MO, and it is subject to change, particularly when one has done enough research to know how to confuse that blue jacket. I suppose it's hubris that makes me believe that I'm confusing them. They're the trained professionals. They know what they're looking for. I am self-taught. Sure, I've looked things up and read books, but that doesn't teach you how hard it is to crack a rib cage or put a dull knife through someone's abdomen. As Dom walked in the room, he started asking me things I thought he didn't care about. Where were you at that you came back so late anyway? Oh, just the park. I needed to clear my head. I said, forcing a smile his way. He pulled the comforter back and climbed into bed, talking as he did. What from? I mean, are we okay? I know I shouldn't have told you about that Samantha girl. I'm sorry. He rolled over and looked me in the eyes. I looked back into his. No, it's not her. More just me being insecure, but you know I've always been like that. I kissed his cheek and rolled over. He knew he couldn't do anything to stop the feelings, and he didn't try. Okay, I love you, Morg. He kissed the back of my head before laying down. I woke to the doorbell ringing. I will never, ever, ever get over how different writing with audio in mind is, because it took me a long time to realize it. What's even funnier is I don't think I started actually listening to audiobooks until maybe I wrote book 6 in the 13 Reasons for Murder series. I don't even know. It wasn't even book 6. Hell, it wasn't even book 7. Maybe it was book 7. Yeah, I think it was book 7. But it blows my mind. So if you actually download this book either from my shop or one of the retailers and you read the book, because spoiler alert, chapters 8 through 12 will be posted as a paid podcast subscriber post only. If you want to know the rest of the story, you'll have to read it or subscribe to the podcast. Books, Life, and Shenanigans.substack.com. Yeah. Where was I going with that? You'll notice, especially if you read the print edition and even, the ebook edition, and maybe even subscribe to the podcast, you'll hear the different ad-libbing that I do and word changing that I do, just because it sounds better versus maybe reads better. Chapter 6. Dom scrambled out of bed and to the door. Then I heard him say something about me being asleep, followed by a woman's voice. I sat up, angry. My brain started its shit talking. Who's the chick? Is she prettier? Wait, is it a cop? Did someone report us? All I could do was get out of bed and start brushing my teeth to silence the garbage. Life with anxiety sucked. Robe on, I followed the sounds to the front door, patting lightly up to Dom. He jumped when I touched his back. Morgan, you scared me. Nah, he's supposed to let out an uneasy laugh, but we'll let that go. And blushed. I'd clearly embarrassed him. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I looked from him to the visitor on the stoop. Oh, excuse me, how rude. I am Morgan Davis, I said, extending a hand. And you are? The woman nodded at my hand, not inclined to take it. I'm Officer Stacy Jones. Do you drive a black Jeep Grand Cherokee with tinted windows? Dom looked at me, curious. I do, I replied. Is everything okay? Well, Miss Davis. Mrs. She nodded. Sorry, Mrs. Davis. Someone called last night, but you were gone between the time they dialed and the time they were asked if you were still there. They wrote your tag down just in case. So, what were you doing on Lexington Park Drive? Oh, that. I waved a hand. Scoping out a friend's boyfriend. She thinks he's cheating and asked me to follow him. Turns out, he is. Officer Jones eyed me with suspicion. I glared back, annoyed that she'd woken me up. Tom cleared his throat. Is that all? officer? Yes, she nodded and turned to walk away. Dom closed the door. So that's where you were until all hours, he accused. And I don't see why it's such a big deal. Because it's dangerous to go following someone's boyfriend alone, Morgan. Hush. You forget I'm armed and a bit on the crazy side. Yeah, I'm afraid of that too. Not only does he care, but he's afraid I'll get arrested for stupid shit. I love this man. Truth be told, he'd be mad if I did stupid shit without him. Not that he'd be much help getting us out of trouble or coming up with a plan to not get caught in the first place. I took a shower and sat at the breakfast bar while Dom wandered about the kitchen. He poured us some coffee and then sat next to me, looking at me like he'd just met me. What? I asked between sips. Nothing. Nothing, my ass. Speak now or forever hold it. Why wouldn't you tell me you were following... Whose boyfriend was it? It doesn't matter. What matters is he's not her boyfriend anymore. And I am fine. Really. I was never in any danger. Oops. Never in any danger? Morgan, do you not realize there are profoundly disturbed people out there who would hurt you as soon as look at you? I mean, what the fuck? He had a point, but I wasn't about to let him win. I am not helpless. I qualified at 92% when I shot for my permit, and you trained me how to fight with a knife. He hung his head in defeat. You're right. I'm sorry. I just worry about you. I love you and don't want anything to happen to you. I leaned over and hugged him. I love you too. For the rest of the day, Dom shot me dirty looks, though he tried to make it look like he wasn't. My brain simultaneously giggled and wanted to smother him. My heart wanted to hold and protect him forever. All of these things presented their own challenges. I wasn't mad at him. I was relieved that he cared so much. I knew he couldn't cheat on me or leave me for that bitch, but the anxiety talked a really good game. It always did. It was that guy on the sidelines cheering for a player to lose. I don't like losing. And I'm going to apologize because I hear the music through my headphones. My downstairs neighbor is essentially making my floor vibrate because, at least it's not Tuesday, which is weird because usually he does this on Tuesdays, but whatever. Whatever. I mean, it might filter out when I apply those macros. It might not. So that's why the apology exists. So, okay, hopefully you didn't hear that swallow. I will also make a note to myself to drink a little further away from the mic. All right. Are we ready for the final chapter that's going to be available for free in this series? I'm doing this as well. I'm just doing it. Chapter 7. A week had gone by before I decided to conduct any more research. Since one of Samantha's neighbors was already aware of my presence, I'd have to find another place to watch from, and it was too soon anyhow. I could maybe sit at the end of the street and see how that went. I was planning to grab her from elsewhere in the first place, but she didn't leave her house very often. Fun fact, I don't leave my house very often. I work from home, so why do I need to leave the house? And I have a meal kit delivery thing every week, so, seriously. But anyway. Since I didn't know which house the neighbor called... Oof. Plop. Speak words, Amanda, words. Fun fact, I think I said this before, but when I narrate full-blown novels, if you get the commentary edition, the commentary version, it is a little longer than the retail version, which is also the unabridged version. Those are fun because I tend to make fun of the way I speak, how badly I botch a sentence, a paragraph. I talk about the different reasons, like the different things that brought me to writing that specific scene or part. And I'm really looking forward to narrating some more. I have one audiobook left to edit, 2 more novels to write this year, and we're already pretty late in the year. So I'm actually going to start working on novels again this weekend, and I'm actually quite excited to do so because I don't fully believe, but I think I'm at a place now where I might be able to start doing that again, healing wise. So that's that. And we are about to wrap up The Girl at the Bottom of the Ocean, at least for those of you who don't want to or who can't, which I completely understand, back the podcast and become a supporter right now. Which I think I got into that in the last episode. If I didn't, that will be this week's first sort of sponsored message. Actually, let me go back through my notes here before. Okay, I did actually go through it in episode 6, and I'm happy to reiterate it again, just for a refresher. Where was I? There we go. Since I didn't know which house the neighbor who called the cops lived in, I wasn't taking any chances. I sat at an intersection that afforded me a good enough view of Samantha's driveway. At least I'd be able to see when she left and follow her. The thought had barely left one area of my brain when Samantha's car backed out of her garage. I'd just then pulled up. I hadn't even shifted into park yet, so all I needed to do was pull out into traffic. I followed by 3 car lengths. If she looked in the rear view, she wouldn't even be able to see me since I had the darkest tint that's still legal. We drove for a few miles down Lineball and crossed over Sheldon, which was weird, considering everything she could need to buy was crazy close. Maybe she was going to a friend's. 3 minutes later, she pulled up in front of a house off of Hanley. In the driveway was that Highlander with the dumb license plate. She got out and rang the bell. He answered the door in record time. I suspected he'd been waiting for her. Then I started wondering that if this guy was her boyfriend, did he know of her attempted theft of my husband? I shook it off and left. I knew where this guy lived if something went weirdly wrong. When I got home, Detective Dom was waiting for me. I snorted with impatience. Where were you? Finding me a husband to steal. That's not fair. I snorted and walked into the bathroom to wash my face. Dom followed, trying to speak but only making stutter noises. I spun on my heel to face him. Stop. I don't know what you want from me. How the fuck else am I supposed to react when you tell me you're too fucking stupid to understand when a woman is trying to bang you? Actively trying. I know I'm not the best spouse, but fuck. Dom slumped. I'm sorry. There was a long silence. We just stared at each other. I am that stupid, and you know it, Dom mumbled, adding an uncomfortable chuckle. No, you're not wrong. I was still annoyed, but I was also realizing I was in the wrong to be so mad. I didn't need any more questions raised by anyone, especially not Dom. I'm already on the radar for the cops. I don't think I have to postpone killing Samantha, but I do have to be more careful. Taking her from her house is out of the question. I'm sure I can catch her out and about or even lure her. That is not my problem. I had to smooth things over with Dom, starting right now. But I was still too annoyed. So I washed my face and let the feelings of calm and relaxation sink in. I toweled off and felt a lot better. Dom, I'm sorry for snapping in you. Snapping in you, on you, that was a combination. Let me try that again. Dom, I'm sorry for snapping on you. No, I'm sorry for being me. I really am, Morgan. I swear I didn't know what her plans were, and if I did, I would have stopped talking to her way sooner. You being you is why I fell in love with you, Dom. Even your stupidity. I smiled as I said it, and Dom laughed. I walked over to the bed and changed into my pajamas before climbing under the comforter. Dom turned his head to face me. Morg, I love you. I leaned over and kissed his cheek. I love you too. And that, my friends, is where we leave the girl at the bottom of the ocean. So according to my timer here, we're looking at about 13 minutes left, which means we've recorded for about 40 or 30-ish minutes so far. Cool, whatever. I'm going to hide the timer because why not? So I did say I would kind of go over real quick the paid subscription benefits. So you're going to hear a couple clicks here and some other super fun things. Hopefully these clicks are... Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay, so subscription options directly on Substack, where this podcast is hosted, are free, monthly or annual, around $5 a month. Annual, you get a price break, and then there's founding member options. So for the monthly subs, you get access to subscriber-only posts and whatever I put into the full archive. Currently, there is nothing in the full archive. I am going to start making subscriber-only posts, beginning with chapter 8 of Morgan Davis Serials number 1, The Girl at the Bottom of the Ocean. You'll be able to post comments and join the community, and you'll also get a pretty decent discount in my online shop. Founding members, you get all of those, plus a free t-shirt of your choice from my online shop with free shipping to U.S. addresses, and more. I am planning what the and more is. I'd like to do something kind of super special every year for those founding members. So we're just going to kind of go from there. Substack has options for group subscriptions, as well as you can gift a subscription to someone. What additional paid subscriber only content is going to look like, I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm thinking maybe some kind of like live chats in like a Zoom type forum. I'm not going to say Zoom specifically because I'm not a fan of Zoom. It's not a fan of me either. My job prefers that I use it, and I choose to use something else available to me through my job because, well, Zoom and I are not friends. So yeah, there's that. Backing the financially subscribing or backing the podcast allows me to continue to provide super awesome things, extra things to the paid subscribers, as well as allows me to maybe eventually upgrade my software and some other things for this podcast. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, as well as it will contribute to, well, yeah, that's where it's at right now. I haven't planned anything else yet, and of course super fun goodies and such like that. Maybe contests things. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't gotten that far yet. So yeah, we'll call that our word from our friends that are not paid ads break for that. So on to the life portion of today's thing. Yeah, we're going to run over 45 minutes. I apologize. Hopefully not too much, because the shenanigans bit will run a little less. So ways I cope when missing them. What I do personally that helps me is I remember the gaslighting. I remember the word salad. I remember the mean things that he said to me. And one of the meanest things he said to me is about a recurring health issue that I have right now. And I had actually spoken to some friends about it. And one of them specifically had said to me, that's the meanest thing I've ever heard a husband say to their wife. And my response was, ha, 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 yeah, that's what he said. That's the meanest thing I've ever heard someone really say to anyone. I'm not going to get into the details because that could potentially out him. And it's just not something I am comfortable speaking about on this podcast right now. Maybe at some point in the future, but basically my health issue was a problem for him. What the fuck? Who says that? Who says that? Like, I would never say to you that your health concern is a problem for me. And then when I told him, hey, at some point this year, mind you, we're like 3 months into the year when I say this to him, 2 months into the year when I say this to him. So at some point this year, I'm probably going to have surgery. Would you be able to take me? He then chose to make it a point, like make it a brutal, ugly point. Well, I'm doing you a favor and I'm taking the day off of work. So you're going to have to do something for me. Motherfucker, I gave up over 2 years of my life to fucking make you happy and it wasn't good enough. And now I got to do something for you again because you're going to take a day off. Bitch, you have fucking paid time off. I know you do because we've had this conversation. We actually had it, like a week prior to this specific conversation. So needless to say, when he brought that up, I said, you know what? Never mind. I'll have a friend take me. A friend who doesn't mind taking the day off of work and isn't going to fucking hold it against me because I have to have a surgery and can't fucking drive myself. He sort of backtracked, didn't apologize, and then changed the subject because, that's what they do. They blame shift. They will change the subject if they can't figure something else out quick enough to kind of refute what you're saying, or blame shift. So there's that. So that lately has been one of the things I've been purposely reminding myself of, just to say to myself, like, you need to be proud that you left this. You really need to be proud that you left this. I understand it hurts. I understand it's painful and it sucks and it's sad because there were those good times where he was a true, actual fucking human being. Were they rare? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I want to tell his mother about the thing that he said to me that hurt me so much, that is the meanest thing that anyone could ever say to someone they love? Yes. Yes, I do. Here's why I will not. What is that going to accomplish aside from me being a petty cunt, right? It's not going to accomplish anything. All it's going to do is tear that woman apart, and she's one of the sweetest people on the face of this planet. So no, I'm not going to tell her, because all that's going to accomplish is me being a douche, a cunt. Like, there's nothing that would do any good. There's no way. So no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let it go. She doesn't need to know it. If ever she asks me about things that he did, things that he said, I'm not going to lie to her. I'm not him. I will speak the truth to her. Will she ask? Probably not, because I feel like somewhere in the back of her mind, she already knows. So yeah, it's probably not a good thing that I do that, because a lot of people kind of will see that as masochism. I would actually love to run that by Dr. Ramani and see what she says. because I am in her healing program, and I have to tell you, I love it so, so much. I'm not very far along. I try to do a couple things a day, and then kind of like nights before I go to bed, and then I'll read a book a little bit to unwind from it and then go to sleep. This week, I think there's been 2 or 3 days that I've gotten some things done with that program. But yeah, that's that. I will say if narcissism, whether you're in the situation where you're a victim and you're stuck, or, you've just begun your journey through survivalism where you've gotten out and it's really hard and you don't know which way to turn. At the very least, Dr. Ramani has a podcast, and she's got her YouTube channel, and she's constantly, she's updating things daily, weekly on that podcast and on that website, on that YouTube. So look her up there. So on to some words from our friends. Eerie Travels Podcast. If you are into the spooky, whether it's in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, I'm not entirely sure what other states they're doing, but the Eerie Travels Podcast on Spotify, Podbean, wherever you find your podcasts. You can even find them on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, or their website, eerietravels.com, EERIE travels.com. You'll find everywhere they're listed. You'll find their books. They are working on a new series of travel books, by the way, which is amazing. I cannot wait for these little pocket editions to come out. Hopefully, the publisher will hear me when I say, please don't make it a 5x8 that's going to hurt my hands at 350 pages. But it's meant to be a travel companion, so it should not be something like a mass market paperback. Please. Pretty please. I'm kidding. I've already had this conversation with the publisher, I think. If not, I've had it with the host of Eerie Travels himself, Mark. So yeah, Mark is a wonderful storyteller. He does all of his, him and Erica do all of their podcast episodes. They do all of their videos themselves. Occasionally there are special guests, whether those are spooky guests or actual humans, cryptids. Yeah, everybody's there and it's awesome. And you should totally head over to eerietravels.com right now and check it out. Okay, so on to the shenanigans. You would think that my screw up of accidentally uploading episode 5 instead of episode 7 and then deleting both draft episodes so that I had no way to redo episode 7, bringing me here to right now. You would think that that is this week's shenanigans, but no, I had something else planned. So this week's shenanigans is show me your crown. No, I don't mean the little waxy things that you color with. I mean crown. The beautiful, glittery, shiny, gaudy, flamboyant, just awesomeness that you wear on your head. That crown. Like you're a king, queen, princess, king, prince. I almost said king twice. I don't care if you're a fucking mouse king or queen or prince or princess, what have you. I don't care. I may have just referred to the Nutcracker right there. Anyway, I was rocking my crown during the recording of this episode. So the original recording of this episode. So I'm really upset with myself for not realizing the difference. So I am going to go through my photos and post the crown right where I start speaking about show me your crown. Email me, amanda.bird.books@gmail.com or amanda@amandabird.net. I want to see you rocking your royalty. I want to see it. Show me those crowns. I don't care what colors they are. They can even be broken. I don't care. I want to see you rock that royalty. I want to see you rock the shit out of it. You know why? Because you deserve it. And on that note, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. And thank you for bearing with me while I re-recorded and re-uploaded this episode. Special shout out to those who told me, hey, think you fucked up. Not in that tone, not their words, my words, which is kind of funny. I'm surprised they didn't. They know me well enough to know they can say those sorts of things to me. But yes, so thank you so much for hanging out with me and bearing with me. Those of you who become paid subscribers, I am hoping in the next couple of days to have chapters 8 through the end up. At the very latest, they will go live next Wednesday with next week's episode. So peace out, have a great time, and don't forget to show me your royalty. This has been the Books, Life, and Shenanigans podcast with Amanda Bird. Song credit, audionautics.com. Intro action, AUDIONAUTIX.com. And if you'd like to support this podcast, head over to substack.com/@Books, Life, and Shenanigans.